most SpongeBob fans can name SpongeBob, Patrick, Squidward, and Mr. Krabs, as well as explaining what they do for a living, right? But what about the fish standing behind them? For 25 years, the show has called these fish, or underwater creatures, incidentals, and there are over 300 of them. But if you're watching a ton of SpongeBob, like me, after going through way too many episodes, you actually start watching the incidentals, really watching them, episode after episode, and actually find something really unique. The show reused them so many times, in so many random roles, that some of them accidentally turned into people with jobs, tempers, or, if you're lucky, a secret romance. If there's a beach, there's a good chance Larry's the one lifeguarding it, which is exactly his job in SpongeGuard on Duty. And who could forget his entrance in A Life in a Day, roaring up on a motorcycle telling everyone to live like Larry. A line we used to love to quote back in the day. Larry's whole identity is muscle, or really any job that needs muscle. Lifeguard, weightlifter, personal trainer. He's the strongest guy in town. So naturally, anytime we see a gym in Bikini Bottom, we assume Larry's a regular, or better yet, the owner, which is exactly what he becomes in Larry's gym in season 9. And look, as weird as it's gonna sound for me to say this, the strongest guy in town is also the weirdest one in the room. But the show can never just let a character be cool. Take roller cowards. SpongeBob and Patrick are too scared to ride the new coaster, and Larry, who's already ridden it, strolls up and makes them smell his armpit, because apparently he reeks of pure adrenaline afterward. That's Larry's idea of encouragement. That's the guy. Now, hold on to Larry, by the way, because someone in his family shows up later with much weirder traits. But if the strong guy turned out to have actual depth, wait till you meet the guy who secretly has a nerd hobby. This is Bubble Bass. Now, some of you might ask already, is Bubble Bass a background character? Well, the answers are yes and no. And whether you even recognize him depends entirely on when you grew up. If you only watched the early seasons, Bubble Bass is just a one-off villain. In his debut, Pickles, he's a pure smug menace who orders the impossible patty only to hide the pickles under his own tongue to convince SpongeBob he's losing his mind, and to get free food. But then he quickly vanishes for about 16 years. I mean, he pops up for a cameo in Plankton's Good Eye and basically nothing else, because Plankton had taken the whole Krusty Krab villain job. Good news is Bubble Bass finally comes back as a real character around season 9 as something much funnier. Modern Bubble Bass lives in his mom's basement. We learn that outright in Moving Bubble Bass, where, by the way, he tricks SpongeBob and Patrick into doing his entire move for him. As far as I can tell, he's unemployed. He collects action figures and comics, plays nerdy board games, and plays pretend superheroes in his spare time. In Swamp Mates, we find out he's older than 23, and that direct sunlight gives him gas. He also has a pet worm that openly hates him. He went from the villain to the guy who peaked in a fan club. But if anything, we get this impression of a guy that is secretly smart. He dreams of hosting his own talk show, he just never does anything about it. He'd rather sit in the dark and complain about other people's shows, which ironically sounds like the combination of Patrick and Squidward. Now that you think about it, Bubble Bass's design looks like if Patrick and Squidward became one guy. You know, body of Patrick, color of Squidward. No? Just me? Alright then. But at least Bubble Bass knows who he is now. Meanwhile, the next guy has a secret he kept for 2 decades. You might not remember his face, but you certainly remember him as a sound. This is Fred. Also likes to be called Incidental 1, and for over 20 years, his entire personality was about 2 words. My leg! My leg! My leg! screamed for every time Bikini Bottom blew something up. It starts all the way back in season 1, in the boating school episode, and after that, it kinda goes on and on as a running joke. And then, season 11 gave Fred his own episode, called, obviously, My Leg, and it reveals something nobody saw coming. Fred breaks his leg on purpose, because every time he ends up in the hospital, he gets to see the nurse he's in love with. The whole My Leg episode is SpongeBob discovering this and then trying to help Fred injure himself to reunite with his crush, which means this man built a decades-long running gag out of a dating strategy to keep seeing someone called Nurse Bazooka. By the way, in that one episode, the word leg is said 75 times, just in case you were wondering. Yeah, I counted. Still, the guy you thought was just a sound effect has the most committed love life in Bikini Bottom. And speaking of guys who are just a sound, there's another one, and his sound is even shorter. I mean, come on, you have to know this guy. It's me, Tom, Incidental 6. To an entire generation, he is the man who lost his entire mind at the word chocolate in What Else? Chocolate with Nuts. Chocolate! Chocolate! But once you've seen Tom, you start noticing he might have a very short fuse for a background guy, especially when it comes to food. He also flips out one time about potato salad that he insists took 3 days to make.
It's 3 days to make that potato salad. 3 days!
The guy is a walking meltdown looking for a reason. And so when you actually look at Tom's record, he's kind of sinister, to say the least. In I Had an Accident, he's got a tragic butt injury history. In Doing Time, he disguises his voice working at a retirement home. And in The Inmates of Summer, Tom gets caught trying to escape a maximum security prison. So the lovable chocolate guy might actually be the closest thing Bikini Bottom has to an escaped convict. It might have to do with food again, but nevertheless, he's a cool guy. Still, Tom's kinda tame in comparison because at least he gets angry about real things. The next guy, he melts down over a key ring. Meet Harold. And right away, I have to make it clear, this is not Frank. I'm telling you that now because the show itself can't keep their names straight for whatever reason, but we'll get to that mess in a minute. This is Harold, the cyan one. Incidental 40. Harold's whole deal is that he's also having anger trouble. I mean, he's got a huge appetite. In the plays The Thing, he's proven that he could bite a chunk out of another fish's arm. He's got the sharp teeth of a predator, and he's got a temper. He starts fights in Band Geeks by calling crabs some big meaty claws, and in Stanley S. SquarePants, he gets so angry he physically explodes. So you could call Harold just the aggressive one, someone with a bad attitude. But then comes Bubble Buddy. There's a scene where a bunch of Bikini Bottom residents tearfully admit to the imaginary friends they've loved.
2 hours is long enough! That's it!
Mr. Krabs has a nickel, holds up an ordinary ring of keys, and through actual tears says, "Boo boo keys, we love you." Under the rage is a guy crying over a set of keys he gave a name to. The angriest background fish in the show is, secretly, the most fragile. He's just a weirdo. Okay, so a few of these fish quietly grew characters to some extent. Larry, Bubble Bass, Fred, Tom, Harold, but that's the optimistic half of this, because some of these fish didn't grow a personality. Some of them can't even hold on to a name. This is Frank. Or wait, sorry. In Valentine's Day, this exact fish is named Dave. Meanwhile, in I Had an Accident, he's a football player named Percy. Then in the trading card game, he's Muskie. In the Sponge Out of Water movie, they straight up called him Harold. Yes, the name of the guy we just met. A completely different fish. Incidental 42 has been called at least 6 different names. The show isn't even trying anymore. Frank is what happens when a fish is purely utility. He has no fixed name, no fixed voice, no fixed spouse too, because apparently this guy has 3 more different spouses other than Susie. He's so famously inconsistent that when Nickelodeon made an official series about mysterious background fish, he's the one they led with. And if Frank can't hold on to a name, at least the next guy could hold on to one job. This is the purple doctor fish, and his whole identity is he's the doctor. Whenever someone in Bikini Bottom gets hurt or sick, this is the fish standing over them. You would even think that maybe, since he's been a doctor for the longest time, maybe that makes him some kind of specialist. Except the show can't leave even him alone. He tranquilizes people with needles in Demolition Doofus. In No Weenies Allowed, he refuses to treat SpongeBob for being a wimp and sends him to Weenie Hut General. He looks identical to a snail doctor in Once Bitten. And in Pull Up a Barrel, he becomes the town doctor who is, for whatever reason, a pirate. Yeah, in Bikini Bottom, not even an MD is safe. But if you want the absolute champion of a guy with thousands of jobs, look no further than this old man. Several old men, actually. If you watch SpongeBob, there's no chance in the slightest that you haven't heard the name Old Man Jenkins at least a few times. But if someone asked you which one of these fishes is him, then your guess is as good as mine. There's a green toothless one, brown one in a wheelchair, one in overalls. For years, the show just slapped the man Old Man Jenkins onto whatever elderly fish a scene happened to need. It's more of a job title for generic old guy. And it got so tangled that the show's own crew had to step in and officially sort it out. The showrunner, Vincent Waller, confirmed that going forward, only the skinny green one is the real Old Man Jenkins, and the chunky one is now a separate character named Old Man Walker. They had to publicly untangle their own running gag. So, Old Man Jenkins is either 5 immortal old men sharing a name, or living proof that in Bikini Bottom, a name is just a hat anybody can put on. And the scariest example of that was never even a monster. This image is burned into your brain somewhere in your childhood. The hash-slinging slasher is one of the most genuinely scary moments in early SpongeBob. Except the whole slasher was a story Squidward made up to scare SpongeBob. So, when the door actually opens and that terrifying figure walks in, it's this guy. A completely normal guy named Richard, who just wanted to apply for a job as a fry cook. And true to this show's energy, even Richard can't keep his name. The credits on Graveyard Shift call him Richard. A later release calls him Hervey. Even if you looked it up on Wiki, he doesn't have a canon name at all. He's just Incidental 189. So we've got fish with no consistent name, no consistent face, no consistent job, which raises an obvious question: is anybody down here just normal? Actually, yeah, there is one guy, the mailman. Out of 300 shape-shifting, name-swapping incidentals, Mr. Mailman is almost the only one with a job that never changes. He's the mailman. Every time. Having one stable job apparently gave him one stable opinion, because Mr. Mailman shares Squidward's exact weary disdain for SpongeBob, which honestly makes me wonder why he didn't have more time chatting with Squidward. Oh wait, they did. But the best of them, the one I want to end on, is the one who's everywhere and nowhere at once. This is Nat Peterson, if we're being formal. And Nat is the most used random fish in the entire show. If there's a crowd, statistically, Nat is in it. His first speaking role, way back in Rock Bottom, is as the bus driver, and bus driver became kind of his default setting most of the time. But Nat works every job. He's a chum bucket regular named Nat in Plankton's Regular, a businessman named Peterson in Missing Identity. He's a cake baker in Mrs. Puff, You're Fired. He's been every face the show needed. So, you'd assume the most overworked, most anonymous extra in Bikini Bottom has nothing going on in his life. Wrong. Nat lives in a trailer in the Bikini Bottom trailer park, and Nat has a girlfriend, Shuby, the pink fish in the green swimsuit. They go out, they shop, they're genuinely the most normal couple in town. Now, think about that for a second. The single most disposable extra in 25 years of this show turns out to be the one holding down the most stable, settled, ordinary life of anyone in Bikini Bottom. He's got the trailer, he's got the girl, he's got the routine. He's in the background of every scene precisely because he's the most reliable guy they've got. And those are just the ones with whole stories. I mean, the whole town is like this. It would be just a long list to name each one of them. But I'll mention some of the interesting ones. This is Lou. He's a vendor, also a chef, also a truck driver, a torch salesman, a baker, a pirate. Lou will sell you, cook you, or sell you anything, depending on the episode. Remember Larry's old and unsightly mom from earlier? That's Mabel. She stares into the void no matter what's happening around her. And in Shuffleboarding, it's revealed she once went to prom with the supervillain Man Ray. Crazy, yeah, I know. This is Sandals. I would call him the easygoing friendly, just here to surf and relax, right up until the Smoking Peanut, where this mellow beach guy personally leads an angry mob to riot. Even the nice ones have a breaking point. This lamp-headed guy from Rock Bottom blew up SpongeBob's balloon to send him home. And he's the only creature down there who doesn't speak in the weird raspberry accent. He just says, "You're welcome." Totally normal. Like he gets out more than the others. And this park ranger shows up to rescue SpongeBob, Patrick, and Squidward after they're lost in the woods for weeks, and then immediately reveals he also worships the do-nothing magic conch shell. The one authority figure who is supposed to save them tells them to keep doing nothing. Most of these fish never got a special episode to talk about their life. Nobody sat down and wrote any of them a story. Mostly they just got reused, recycled, benched, renamed, killed off, brought back, and reassigned. And somewhere across 25 years of the show, just needing somebody to stand there, a few of them quietly turned into people. People with crushes and grudges and basements and trailers and imaginary friends made of keys. So next time you put on an episode, don't just watch the sponge, watch the line behind him. Watch the crowd at the lagoon, because every one of those little nobodies is somebody. And now you can't unsee it. Just like you can't forget another version of SpongeBob once you see their story behind the dub team. I guarantee you're missing a lot of crazy stories there. I'll see you on the next dive.